Almost 5 years ago, I built an Airbnb arbitrage business to over $100,000 per month, and then I almost lost everything trying to grow too fast. Fast forward to the last 90 days, we've launched over 150 Airbnb properties with $0 down. In this video, I'm going to take everything I learned from making millions of dollars on Airbnb, losing it all, and rebuilding from scratch, and show you exactly how I'd do it again faster if I had to restart from zero. And fair warning, this is not the strategy most Airbnb gurus want you to hear. If this video helps you, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. If you're new here, my name is Quentin West, and if you're anything like me, you've probably tried everything. Stocks, crypto, flipping cars, drop shipping. I tried all of it, and I failed at almost all of those until I accidentally stumbled into what I genuinely believe is one of the biggest opportunities of our lifetime. And no, this wasn't some overnight success story. I actually got into Airbnb by complete accident. I owned a house I was living in, I was in between jobs, and I couldn't afford my mortgage. So after exhausting every other option, I did something I thought I'd never do. I moved back in with my mom and dad, and I put my house on Airbnb just to try to buy myself some time. And let me be very clear, this was my first rock bottom moment. I had dropped out of college already, I had quit a job both my parents respected, and now I was about to lose my home. I felt like the black sheep of my family, but then something happened. That Airbnb took off like a rocket. $1,000 in profit the first month, $1,500 a second, and by the third month, I could see the writing on the wall. This wasn't just extra money, this was a real opportunity. And the craziest part of it all, it required very little time. All I could think about was if I had a few more of these, I'd never have to work again. So I did what everybody does. I spent countless hours on YouTube, and that's when I learned about Airbnb arbitrage, where I could rent a property and sublease it on Airbnb. And I didn't even finish that video. I went straight to Zillow. I started calling landlords, completely fumbling my way through the worst script imaginable, and I got my first arbitrage property within 7 days. Fast forward 2.5 years, I had grown that business to 47 units across 3 states, making well over $100,000 per month. And before you click off and start researching arbitrage, I need to tell you something that most other gurus won't. Because the bad sides of arbitrage within my story are the things that almost no one talks about. Here's the truth. With arbitrage, you have very little control, massive fixed expenses, and way more risk than reward. At one point, I was paying over $75,000 per month just in rent. Rain or shine, booked or not, rent was due. And when the model broke, it broke hard for me. That year became the worst year of my life. I had over 100 creditors calling me every single day. At my lowest point, I sold everything I owned, and I was literally borrowing quarters from my kids' piggy bank just to make sure my family could eat. If you're watching this thinking arbitrage is easy money, this is the part I need you to hear. I'm not telling you this for a pity party. I'm telling you this because things aren't always what they seem online, and because there's a much better way to win with Airbnb without all the risk that almost destroyed my life. Let me introduce what we internally call fractional hosting. You may also know it as co-hosting, but the way we do it is completely different. This is a model where you don't buy property, you don't rent property, you don't furnish property, and you don't front any of the money. You partner with owners who already have homes, and you manage their Airbnb listings for a percentage, typically 10 to 20%. And here's where most co-hosts get it wrong. Anybody can answer messages, anyone can schedule cleaners. That's not really valuable. That's why most co-hosts can't close owners, they lose owners, or they get squeezed on all the fees. Owners realize that they're paying someone to make the same money or less, and so they end up leaving. Where our model wins is optimization and marketing. We don't touch cleaning, we don't touch maintenance, and we still charge 15% or more. How are we able to do that? It's because we know how to leverage Airbnb's algorithm while everybody else is complaining about it. And if you miss this next part, nothing else in this video will work. After digging myself into hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt with negative $2,500 in my bank account, I had 2 choices. I'd already at this point drafted my email to my attorney to file for bankruptcy. My inbox was flooded, my phone was blowing up. I had stress that I can't even describe. And I stared at that email I had drafted for hours, and then I deleted it. I don't know if it was God or just refusal to quit, but I chose to fight. For the next year, I hunted down any Airbnb operator who knew more than me. I needed to understand why properties that I poured my soul into weren't even breaking even. At one point, I even asked my grandma for money, not even for coaching, just to pay for food. The next day, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a $25,000 check. And to be completely honest, I had to pull over just so I could cry. Not because of the money, but because somebody believed in me when I had nothing. And now I couldn't fail. I used that money to pay for 1 hour Zoom calls with big investors, and that's when everything really changed for me. That's when I learned the truth about Airbnb, that Airbnb is machine learning driven. It watches views, clicks, conversion rates, booking velocity, and then it decides how much exposure your listing actually deserves. Most hosts try to fix price first, and that is a big mistake. It's always a race to the bottom. Once I learned how to optimize for the algorithm, everything flipped. My properties became profitable again, debt started disappearing, the business came back stronger, and then something unexpected happened. Other investors started asking me for help. And so I coached a few for free, and then that turned into dozens, and then I started having to charge, and then that turned into hundreds. And in 3 years, we grew that to working with over 1,300 clients. We've optimized more than 2,500 listings worldwide, and we've helped contribute to over $20 million in additional revenue for our clients. And this is why that matters to you. In a study we did, we saw an increase in property revenue by over 18.5%. So if you charge 15%, the owner still makes more money with less work. That's exactly why we've been able to close over 150 units in 90 days with zero money down. This isn't some theory or regurgitated information. This is our model. Now, let me be clear about something. I do believe in owning real estate, but until you're cash flowing $20,000 to $50,000 per month, buying is super slow, it's very capital intensive, and it's very time consuming. Fractional hosting lets you start with $0. Keep 80 to 100% of your profit margin. Work remotely, build cash flow fast, and then buy assets the smart way when you're ready. If you want to learn more about fractional hosting, click the link below and book a call with my team. I'll be very clear, this is not for everybody. But if you want a real business and not just some hype and running up tons of credit card debt, buying furniture, and signing leases, we'll see if it makes sense to work together. And if this video helped you at all, make sure you like and subscribe. If I had to rebuild everything from zero, this is exactly how I do it. I'll see you on the next one.